Hi everybody, this is Carissa and welcome back to my YouTube channel Inky Fairy Designs. Today I have another project for the Hedgehog Hollow. This month we are taking a look at the April subscription box and we're going to be making this adorable card. I'm going to be using the stamp set Suited and Booted. That is one of the stamp sets that comes in this April box, and you'll notice there is a definite theme with this box this month. I'm going to go ahead and start by stamping these cute gamer controllers all around a piece of white cardstock that I have cut down just slightly smaller than a size A2 card. And I'm using the colors Chipped Sapphire and Scattered Straw. These happen to be two of my boys' favorite colors, and they're kind of the inspiration for this card, even though neither one of them have a birthday coming up. It's always good to have one of these on hand, right? So I am just alternating the two. I put them on some of my acrylic blocks, and because I'm doing kind of a pattern look, it was just easier for me to put them on a block rather than using the Misty, which I usually always use now, but for this it was just a lot easier, and I'm just eyeballing it. It's not perfect. They don't line up perfectly, but I just really wanted to alternate the colors and kind of alternate the direction of the controllers just to give it a bit of a random look, like pattern paper. Now I think I did something similar last month using the stamp sets that were in the March box. So if you want to take a look at that video, I will go ahead and put it up here in the corner. You can take a look at how I created a pattern paper look last month with those stamps. I just love these smaller stamp sets. I think it's one of the best ways to really put them to use because they're so small. They wouldn't take up a good focal point for using them like that, but they're such a great size that you can stamp them repeatedly across your cardstock and get a really fun look. And it's a very simple way to do that, and you just change up your ink colors and you can have a totally different look. Now you can see I did switch to the other controller, and unfortunately I put my stamp into the wrong color, but thankfully I noticed it before I actually stamped it down, so I switched them. So now I am using the Scattered Straw and it's closer to me and I can finish stamping up this panel. So yeah, the April box has a more masculine feel and theme to it, which is great because I know there's it's hard for us as card makers. A lot of times I see it over and over when stamp companies ask, what kind of stamps do you want to see? I will always see people requesting more masculine images for boys to make cards for sons and nephews and dads and grandpas, and this box fits the bill to a T. And we've got all kinds of different themes in it, or different themes in it. We've got the gaming, we've got the bow ties and the suits, and some of the other stamps include some really fun ones. So you'll see more of those as the month goes on. So now I wanted to emboss the sentiment that comes in this set, and I like the font in this one. It's more of a typewriter kind of look, and so I pulled out some dark blue cardstock. So I was going to use that as my card base. You saw I had cut it down and then I scored it at 5.5 to create a top folding A2 size card. Now I'm using that same color cardstock to stamp and emboss my sentiment on it. I'm using the Wow slow drying embossing pad, and I'm also going to be using the Wow opaque bright white superfine embossing powder. I love the superfine in whatever embossing powders you love, because when you're stamping and you want to emboss a sentiment, you really want to make sure you're using a superfine, because those embossing particles are really tiny and they get into all of the nooks and detail of a sentiment. So I just poured it over my little coffee filter so that I can pour the excess back into the jar. We don't want to waste any of that. I'm going to wipe away some of that stray powder away with my finger. It was far enough from the sentiment that I wasn't worried that I was going to wipe that off. I'm going to start by heating that from behind, getting that starting to melt, and then I will bring my embossing tool to the front and completely melt that sentiment. Now I'm just going to cut this down into a simple strip, and I am using just my trimmer here, and this is always what happens to me. I pull that that trimmer down, and lo and behold, I think the embossing powder is dry, but apparently there was a little wet spot and it just dragged across. It wasn't too bad. I just went ahead and kept going. But in the future, if you have like a guillotine type cutter, it's probably best to use something like that, so you don't have to worry. I really did think it was dry. I think I had even stepped away and come back at this point, but it just always happens. But you know what? We are hand making these cards, and all of the little kind of nuances and maybe imperfections, that's what really makes them special. And I wouldn't worry about them or stress about them. When you're in the process, just go ahead and work through it, and it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be special for whoever you're giving this to, a family member, a loved one, a friend. They aren't going to see that. Only we as the makers really see that. So I put some foam tape on the back of that panel after I attached my sentiment, and I'm placing that on the card base here, and it just ties it all together. That pretty much really wraps up the card. It's very simple. I think when making cards for boys or the men in our lives, less is more. I don't personally go all out with the embellishments when I'm creating cards for like my husband or my boys. I just like to keep it simple, and I think the little pattern in the back just makes it. Actually, my son saw it tonight as I was editing this video, and he said he wanted this card for his birthday next year, and we just had his birthday in March, so I think I did all right with this one. I hope you enjoy this video and loving what you're seeing coming out of the Hedgehog Hollow for April. Be sure to check it out. It's a great subscription, a great value, and you can sign up today and get this box sent to you if you want to make some cards like this one. Thanks again for watching. If you are inspired by this video, please use the hashtag #TheHedgehogHollow, and also tag me on Instagram or social media at Inky Fairy Designs. I love to come by and see what you are making. Until next time, guys. Bye.